Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. We are tackling a really high stakes question today, analyzing a stack of materials sent in by you, our listener, focused on, well, one of the big names in digital asset infrastructure, Core Scientific. Our mission here is pretty straightforward. We want to give you the shortcut to the core knowledge you need to answer that key question. Is Core Scientific a good time to buy right now? We'll break down their challenging financials, the surprisingly bullish technical picture, and those critical volatility-driving catalysts that are just around the corner. Now, if you find this exploration helpful, if we save you some time and help you connect the dots, please remember to subscribe, hit that like button, and definitely leave us a comment. Oh, and also let us know which specific company you want us to look into next. Just leave a comment below. Okay, let's get into this business model because it's definitely more complex than just a simple mining operation. So, setting the stage, Core Scientific operates in this fascinating sector where infrastructure is pretty much everything. What exactly is their core function, and how is the business structured to handle all that industry volatility?
Right. So Core Scientific is, deeply embedded in the digital asset mining sector. But they've really positioned themselves more strategically, I'd say, as an infrastructure play. They have three main revenue segments, and understanding the difference between them is really key to getting the investment thesis here. First, there's the digital asset self-mining. That's, their own fleet of machines, their rigs, generating digital assets. Standard stuff there. Second, they've got digital asset hosted mining. This is where they rent out their physical rack space and power infrastructure to other miners.
Ah, okay. So that's steadier income, presumably.
It could be steadier revenue, yeah, but it's still kind of tethered to the general crypto market sentiment, If prices crash, hosting demand might dip too. Now, the third segment, and this is where the real long-term story seems to be heading, is HPC hosting, high-performance computing.
HPC hosting.
This is sort of the next evolution. Hosted mining is basically renting out racks for Bitcoin miners. HPC, though, that's renting out massive compute power, usually for things like AI model training, data center applications, other really high-demand computational tasks.
Okay, so that's a significant shift.
It is. That strategic shift could fundamentally change their revenue reliability and, potentially their whole risk profile over time.
That distinction, the pivot from, let's say, volatile mining racks to potentially more reliable AI compute, that feels like the central theme here. But let's look at the numbers, the financial results you pulled from those 2024 metrics. We saw $510.67 million in revenue, okay, and a slight year-over-year increase, 1.65%. That seems respectable, maybe, given the environment, but that net loss figure, wow.
Yeah, that is the number that just demands attention. Despite that operational stability suggested by, slightly growing revenue, they reported a substantial net loss of negative $1.12 billion in 2024.
A billion, with a B.
Uh-huh. And this was a substantial increase in losses from the prior year, too. So it's not just a one-off bad year.
Wow. Okay, $1 billion loss. That creates some massive tension, doesn't it? You've got a company in what should be a high-growth sector trying this sophisticated pivot to HPC, but they are just bleeding money at a catastrophic rate. So given those losses, that negative profit margin, what gives Core Scientific any kind of competitive edge right now? Besides just, being in the right industry?
Well, their edge, such as it is, probably comes down to a couple of operational factors. One, they offer that comprehensive service suite, right? That ability to pivot between self-mining and hosting gives them a degree of flexibility. It helps them manage market cycles maybe better than some single-focus miners. Right. And two, they do maintain their own fleet and infrastructure. That gives them pretty high control over operational efficiency, which is, absolutely critical in a low-margin kind of environment.
Okay, flexibility and control.
Yeah, but let's be really honest here. The Core Scientific story right now isn't really about mining volume. It feels more like a binary bet on two big things. Can they flip that massive, $1.12 billion operating loss into sustainable profit before those potentially lucrative AI contracts, that whole HPC pivot, actually start hitting the profit and loss statement in a meaningful way?
That is a fundamental question, isn't it?
It really is. And anyone seriously looking at this stock, you absolutely must reference the latest SEC Form 10K and 10Q filings. That 10K, that's where you'll find the full breakdown of their pretty high debt load and their cash burn rate. That's mandatory homework if you're thinking long-term here.
That operational strength versus financial distress dichotomy is perfectly put. Okay, let's pivot now from the ledger, which is dripping in red ink, to the trading floor, because investors are clearly looking past that debt load, at least for now. What are the technical signals telling us? What's the momentum look like?
Well, it seems like the market is shrugging off those historical losses, doesn't it? It seems to be choosing instead to price in future potential. The recent price action definitely suggests strong, sustained bullish momentum. I mean, the stock recently hit a new 52-week high. It traded as high as $19.30. That indicates that the current support levels are holding firm, at least for now.
1930.
And in terms of a near-term outlook, say what we might expect over the next 3 months or so, the sources we looked at suggest the stock could trade within a fairly tight but still elevated range, maybe $18 to $22.
18 to 22. That's a pretty confident projection considering the fundamentals we just discussed. But how is that momentum holding up, technically speaking? You know, when a stock jumps that quickly, we often worry about it becoming overbought. What are those momentum indicators, the tools that traders use? What are they saying about the health of this upward move? Is it sustainable?
Generally, they seem to be confirming the strength, actually. We see the stock trading above both its 50-day and its 200-day moving averages. And for those maybe less familiar, the 50-day measures the shorter-term trend. The 200-day measures the longer-term trend. So trading above both, that's kind of the textbook definition of sustained upward momentum.
Right.
And furthermore, if we look at tools like the Relative Strength Index, the RSI, that's the tool we use to track how rapidly the price is changing, and the MCD, the Moving Average Convergence Divergence. They both suggest pretty healthy bullish momentum right now. They show clear positive movement, but without having yet pushed the stock into like extreme overbought territory, which could trigger a quick reversal. So healthy for now.
I appreciate you clarifying those indicators, but hang on, I got to play devil's advocate again here. You've got this consensus buy rating, healthy technical charts. It all suggests high institutional confidence, right? But how does that massive, billion-dollar loss factor into institutional money flow? Aren't big fund managers usually mandated to be pretty cautious when a balance sheet looks that stressed? What are they seeing that maybe we're missing?
That is the core conflict, isn't it? They're betting on catalysts.
Yeah.
And they're betting on the narrative shifting.
Yeah.
CORZ Scientific has received a consensus buy rating from quite a few analysts. The average price target is sitting right around $19.08.
1908, close to the recent high.
Exactly. They seem to be pricing in the success of that HPC pivot and potentially M&A events down the line. Now, while the ratings are mixed, you see everything from strong buy, hold, even some sell ratings out there. The general institutional sentiment seems overwhelmingly positive right now. We've seen clear evidence that large institutional investors have actually been increasing their holdings lately.
Really?
Increasing.
Wow.
They're essentially saying, look, the operational future and maybe a potential buyout premium, that outweighs the current debt situation for us. It's a forward-looking bet.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us neatly to the recent drama. That M&A chatter and the volatility that followed, that's what put this stock on a lot of people's radar, including our listeners.
Let's unpack the chaos of the last quarter and highlight those specific dates that really matter.
Yeah, the volatility has been pretty immense. If we track the period from August through October 2025, August alone saw the daily average volatility climb over 4%. That's high activity, suggests really rapid price discovery happening.
4% daily average. Wow.
Then came September. We saw a clear technical pivot top sell signal emerge right around September 3rd, 2025. And that preceded a pretty sharp drop, about 23.68% price decline that lasted until early October. But crucially, the selling seemed to dry up right around that critical support level of $13.43.
$13.43. Okay.
Yeah, it suggests that institutional buyers were likely concentrated right there, basically establishing a firm floor under the price.
And then we hit the massive M&A event. That wasn't just some corporate filing. That felt like a major strategic move by management, right? Absolutely. On October 10th, 2025, reports started coming out indicating that shareholders were expected to reject the proposed acquisition offer from CoreWeave.
Reject it, even with the losses.
Exactly. Think about what that implies. Management and presumably major shareholders believe the company's intrinsic value, likely driven by that HPC pivot potential, is significantly higher than whatever that offer price was, even with $1 billion in losses on the books.
That is a massive statement of confidence, isn't it?
It really is, and we saw corroborating action in the market. There was huge trading volume, over 20 million shares traded on October 8th, just before that expected rejection news hit. That suggests significant institutional repositioning was likely taking place right ahead of it.
Okay, so the market seems to have found a floor. Management signaled a high internal valuation by rejecting the offer. Moving forward then, what are the absolutely critical short-term catalysts? Like the next 3 months, what do investors need to be tracking?
Okay, there are three non-negotiable dates you got to mark on your calendar. First, and probably most fundamental, is the Q3 earnings report. That's expected on November 5th, 2025. Analysts are anticipating strong year-over-year growth. If Core Scientific delivers on that, it could provide significant positive momentum. And, maybe more importantly, it would help validate management's decision to reject that CoreWeave offer.
Right. Proof is in the pudding there. What's next?
The second date is November 18th, 2025. This one's tied to the S&P ETF rebalancing. Because of Core Scientific's recent performance and, its rising market cap, this index rebalancing could drive substantial liquidity, both buying and selling pressure, potentially causing price swings as funds that track the index have to adjust their allocations.
Wow, the mechanics of index inclusion. Okay.
And the third major event to watch is January 15th, 2026. That's when the institutional position disclosures come out. These are the quarterly filings, the 13Fs, that reveal what the big institutional players, the hedge funds, the mutual funds, actually bought or sold during the fourth quarter.
So we see if they kept the faith.
Exactly. It's another key liquidity event, and it reveals whether the so-called smart money maintained or even increased their confidence following all that M&A drama, and critically, after seeing the Q3 earnings report.
Got it. November 5th, November 18th, January 15th. Okay. Beyond the official calendar, what's the speculative buzz? The market thrives on rumors. What's the chatter?
Oh, the market chatter is definitely loud right now. Following that CoreWeave rejection, rumors persist about maybe renewed alternative buyout proposal surfacing,
Yeah.
perhaps at a higher price point, or maybe from a different kind of buyer who's specifically interested in that HPC infrastructure they're building out.
Interesting. Another bidder.
Possibly. That's the word. And of course, there's always the ever-present speculative catalyst, the impact of a sharp Bitcoin price rally. That would immediately trigger some pretty outsized operational upside given their core mining business is still significant. But the most intriguing buzz, I think, the longer-term stuff, points back to that diversification. Industry rovers suggest there are active negotiations underway for potentially major new AI and data center client contracts within Core Scientific's hosting business.
The HPC deal's actually landing.
Exactly. If one of those big negotiations closes successfully, that is the event that could truly validate management's whole strategy and potentially rewrite the narrative.
Okay, let's bring it all back down to earth for a moment. We've got
Right.
strong technicals, high institutional confidence, it seems, major catalysts coming up. But we absolutely cannot forget those massive financial losses. We need to clearly define the risk factors before we try to synthesize a final thesis here.
Right. The risk is substantial, and it's important to kind of break down where it's coming from. You've got company-specific risks, chiefly those huge financial losses. That could potentially force things like undesirable debt restructuring or maybe equity dilution down the road, which hurts existing shareholders. And, of course, their high dependence on the very volatile digital asset market.
Okay, financial health and crypto dependence.
Then you layer on the sector risk. They're operating in a highly competitive sector where margins can be pretty thin, and capacity build-out can quickly become a challenge for everyone involved. Now, the mitigation factor, the sort of safety net, maybe is that diversification we talked about across self-mining, hosted mining, and crucially, that nascent HPC hosting business. That operational stability does help cushion some sector risks, but let's be clear, it doesn't magically solve the core debt issue.
Right, doesn't make the billion-dollar loss disappear. So given all this complexity, the bullish charts versus the very red balance sheet, I need that final synthesized summary. You rated this, based on the sources, an 8 out of 10 bullish. That still feels pretty high given that billion-dollar drag chute. Justify that rating for us.
Yeah, the justification really has to be forward-looking. The overall rating lands at a bullish 8 out of 10 because the sources suggest the market is, for now, overwhelmingly pricing in the potential of those catalysts, not dwelling on the past losses.
Yeah.
It looks like a compelling opportunity because of the potential for, well, maybe exponential growth in that HPC sector, the strong analyst support which helps validate the narrative shift, and those clear defined events coming up in the next quarter that offer very specific upside potential.
Okay, potential outweighing the current pain.
That seems to be the market's view. So we'd assess it as attractive for perhaps both short-term trading, given the volatility and the near-term news flow, and potentially for long-term structural investment, if those big AI deals materialize. But let's absolutely emphasize this is clearly a high-risk, high-reward kind of play. And the caution flag has to be flown very high due to the significant sector volatility and those undeniable financial challenges.
That frames the tension perfectly. It's a high-stakes, event-driven investment. You've got this significant upside potential, the bullish technicals balanced directly against those huge, huge reported losses.
It's exactly. The company's narrative right now is really being defined by M&A rumors, and critically, whether they can actually deliver on those upcoming earnings promises. However, the critical question, I think, especially for long-term investors, is this. Will that rumored expansion into AI data hosting ultimately overshadow and maybe even de-risk the core digital asset mining business? Because if those AI negotiations fail, or if they don't materialize soon, that $1.112 billion loss starts to look less like a temporary dip and maybe more like a terminal condition. That's something powerful for you to really mull over as you do your own research.
That is a fantastic, provocative thought to leave you with. And please remember, you should always do your own research. Always consult the official filings, especially those detailed 10K and 10Q reports. They are easily available for free on the SEC EDGR database. Thank you for joining us for this analysis of your sources.